I was like, well, you're either staying at a friend's house or you're grabbing a hotel room, right?
You're grinding.
But it actually makes way more sense than them having to leave every half an hour. I mean, we've sometimes had 18 showings in a day.
Yeah, you can't live in that.
Well, what do? You just have to go find time and hang out at people's houses that don't want you there. No, I'm just kidding. But like, I'm just
been here all day.
They're like, oh, I think it's time for you to go home. You're like, my last showing's at 9:30 p.m.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bamford Co podcast. My name is Gary and I am here with my good buddy Gregg. Hello, brother. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you, Gary.
See that? And then look at that switch. That's the magic of TV. So if you haven't seen one of these before, they're probably the most entertaining podcasts in the history of real estate. And I say that because I actually am entertained and informed every time I watch.
Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Maybe my humble opinion, and maybe a little bit biased.
You are still a little biased.
If I have to watch one, we go deep.
Yeah,
Bobcat blood goes deep. So today we're going to get a little bit into the stress of selling your home.
Yes.
A lot of people go through this, and you know it's always this thing, the ebbs and flows. Everyone always hears those catchy terms like, oh, buyer's market, seller's market, and all this and that, but no one really breaks down what that all means. We all do know, though, if you've ever tried to sell a home, it's very stressful.
Yeah, it can be without the right strategy and process. It can be very stressful. So I think probably to start it off, finding the right realtor that you connect with, because it really is a business relationship, right? So it's one of those things that if you like the person you're working with and they have a strategy and so forth that you can believe in, I think it just starts making it that much easier, because it should be fun. But at the same time, there is a lot of work to prepare your property.
So what I'm hearing is chemistry with your realtor is pretty important.
Yes. I've never used chemistry before, but it's just like, but I get it. It is connection, right? Like I always say, if people like you and they trust you, they'll work with you, but then you need to then deliver what you say you're going to deliver, right?
And that carries over into not just here, into life in general, isn't it? That's a good life lesson. Hey, if you say you're going to do something, you tell people you're going to do it, you best be doing it.
I think my mom told me that when I was like 3. So
it's a good life lesson. Yeah. And here we are to this day still saying that, and that's a good thing. So
yeah, very much
props to your mom. And hey, happy anniversary again.
Big trip Mom and Dad just had a 50th anniversary, and so cool. That's great that Ryan didn't show up to any of the podcasts. So it's awesome.
I saw Kev was there, though. Shout out to Kev.
Yeah, Kevin Bamford. Yeah.
One of my favorite dudes, man.
Slowest golfer ever.
This isn't going to turn into a family podcast. We should be talking about this. I'm just a huge fan of you guys.
The stress of
selling home. That's my fault, by the way.
Yeah.
I just love Kev. So, and I love all you guys. So we're stressed out. We're looking to buy homes. Trusting someone with your home's story. I think we've touched on that a little bit. The chemistry, use that term again, the relationship with your realtor.
Right.
How do you get that trust?
Yeah, I think it's interviewing a number of agents and understanding who they are and how they can help you, right? Because it really is, it's a process and it's a journey. And some people take a lot longer to be able to prepare their properties. Like, I mean, we just recently sold a couple people's homes, both awesome clients that one was a referral and one was a family that we've known forever, but one lived in their homes for 39 years and the other one is 41. So sometimes it can take someone 6 months to a year to prepare their home because they've been collecting things for a long time. And it's a connection with a home that can feel just stressful, even understanding the next step, right?
Yeah, so not just preparing your home, preparing yourself and your brain mentally for that big move.
Yeah, and so we're there to try to make it easier for them, because it's still hard. It doesn't matter, right? Like, I mean, I live in my grandparents' house, right? Like I say, don't become emotional involved with a home, and
do as we say, not as we do.
Mr. Sentimental here, right? So it doesn't even, but I've learned from that, and I helping my parents sell our family home and moving them into another home. I understand the stresses and strategies just my parents had, right?
Yeah.
And so the biggest thing is preparing your home, and so that's where we meet you. We have our staging consultants come through. We've got people like Natasha that help you declutter and also helps you pack away things. So we can help them with whatever our clients really need help with. We can help them with that full journey of just the preparation, because that's where a lot of the time is, right?
Absolutely. So you get to that point, and then there's the whole, the vulnerability of showing off your place, letting the world know, like this is how I live. This is my home. Come in here and totally don't judge me, please. Like that sort of
well,
moment.
for sure. So if you go into a builder's show home, what they usually have is they have not a lot of furniture. They don't have personal pictures of all their employees sitting on the refrigerator or so forth, right? They make it as clean as possible. And there's no outrageous colors. And so a lot of times...
it's just, I picture the times that I have done exactly this, and you're going through the house and then you see all like the chips out of the wall, and you see like the markers written underneath where the chairs are hiding this and that, and all those sort of, they're like openings of your soul.
Well, they can be. And so our job is to make sure that people see your property the best they possibly can. Yes. So then that showing side, and it might be harder because the house doesn't seem maybe like yours anymore. But at the same time, when a buyer comes into it, they can see themselves there. Yeah. And so that takes it out. So the showing side of it, depending on, in our market right now, it's a huge selling market. So properties move super fast, and you might get a ton of showings. Quite a few of our clients, we've actually moved them out of their properties. And they're like, so how does this work? And I was like, well, you're either staying at a friend's house or you're grabbing a hotel room, right? But it actually makes way more sense than them having to leave every half an hour. I mean, we've sometimes had 18 showings in a day.
Yeah, you can't live in that.
Well, what do? You just have to go find time and hang out at people's houses that don't want you there. No, I'm just kidding. But like, I'm just been here all day. They're like, I think it's time for you to go home. You're like, my last showing's at 9:30 p.m. Like. And so all jokes aside, I mean, it just makes it a lot easier if you're not right there, because that makes it even more stressful, right? Like if you're like now having to put that on top of what you're already dealing with.
A great analogy of that would be, and I brought this up a couple times, if you're like a trades worker and say you're going to a house to work on a furnace, and you get in there, you get all set up to start doing your work, and then the owner of the house sits down right beside you. And I've actually had this happen before. Sits right beside you while you are working and judging every single thing you're doing. Yeah. You're not helping anyone, man.
No, and that's why we suggest when we have our home inspector go in and do an inspection, we go meet them after he's done the inspection, because he doesn't need to be interrogated, and he's going to miss something, right? Of course. So, and at the same time, sometimes showings, people are a little bit early and they're a little bit late. Yeah. And so that extra pressure just doesn't help, right?
No, absolutely. So now we go from that, making yourself vulnerable, doing as best you can to work through that. And then the offers start rolling in, that emotional roller coaster of, oh, this much, oh, that much, oh, what, really that? And sort of maintaining your brain.
It can be stressful, because a lot of times in a multiple offer scenario, if it's presentation of offers, we don't get those offers till usually right before the deadline. Yeah. And so even us as realtors, I mean, you cheer on, you're hoping you're getting lots, but sometimes we don't get many until the very end. And you're like, I call it pie in the face. If we don't get any offers, it's like, okay, what did I do wrong? But I mean, luckily, we haven't had that happen lately. And so, but you just don't know when those offers are coming. And a lot of times they don't leave them open for a long period of time, because they want them dealt with in a short period of
that's part of it.
That's just part of it. It's the time frame and the, I guess, the emotions that go into it of like, okay, how long do we have to have this offer to deal with and so forth. And sometimes it's 2 hours. So, but I mean, what we do is we get our clients ready for that so that they understand what could happen. Yeah. So when it does happen, multiple offers or just one offer, we understand what we're looking at. We're looking at home inspection. We're looking at, I guess, one is the conditions. One is the, I guess it goes to possession. and then the purchase price and how strong the offer is and the deposit, right? And so these are things that we help you deal with and give you the pros and cons on. And at the same time, understanding how strong that offer is and if these people are pre-approved or not, which they should be, but they're not always. So that's our job, is to do our own research for you so that you can make your best interest.
Yeah, and I've only ever bought a house once in my life.
Okay.
And I remember exactly where I was. I was at Candle Lake on a beach when it went through. And there's some back and forth, and it turned out we were like the last ones, the last survivors in this sort of bidding. And we finally met on a number, and just everything you just described, that roller coaster of like, will this be, no, this, that. It's like, it really is gambling, right? Like my gambling addictions were like, oh, this is fun. I want to buy some more houses, you know? And that's the rush I got, when in reality, it's not gambling at all, because you are, well, if it is, you're doing it on your own terms. And there's no one else, you know, giving you lines and giving you all this and that. This is what we want to get in at. I hope we get it.
Yeah, on the selling side, you have a lot more control than on the buying side.
Yeah.
Right? So the selling side is that, especially in the seller's market, we make the rules.
Yeah.
So this is what the possession date we want. And then depending on the timeline of your property being on the market, I mean, we might be negotiable, we might not be, but a lot of times things, if it's priced right, could be selling for way over.
And that's where the entire experience starts too, is with the setup for sale.
Right.
So you're setting all the groundwork for what's about to happen.
For sure. So it's for timeline, possession. Possession's probably your major one, because it's like, what are you moving into? Where are you going? How long do we need? Right?
Yeah,
so those are big factors. So the possession date, how does that look like? What's included in the property? Because a lot of times people, I mean,
we got a freezer.
It
was awesome.
A lot of people love freezers.
Oh,
yeah,
they're so hard to move.
They're very hard. I actually have one as a deep freeze in
my.
Yeah.
I might need one.
I use it as a cold plunge now, so it's great.
Come on, really?
Yeah, for
Good
sure.
For you,
saved a deal, because nobody wanted this deep freeze, and it was like, it's as heavy as a car.
Yeah. You're not moving it.
You're not moving it.
Why not make
actually,
it a cold
306 disposal. I mean, they
shout
came
out.
in, shout out. They actually moved it to mine. It was cheaper moving it into my garage than taking it to the dump.
I love that. And now you're still using it.
I'm
for
still
a totally
using
different
it
thing. For your health too.
For my health, yeah. Freezes
awesome.
me a little bit, but yeah.
For a little bit, but gets the rest of your body ready to go. So the rest about preparing for possession. What else do you got to sort of
we go through everything that's included. So it's if it's an inclusion, if what you need to leave, how you need to leave it. Like we always say to our clients, they always ask, everybody asks us, how do I leave my house?
Yes.
And I said, well, you want to leave your house the way that you'd want you'd want to take possession,
golden
right?
rule,
so it is a golden rule.
Yeah.
Like treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. It's pretty
so
simple,
easy.
right?
So
like,
easy.
And so it's awesome because you're leaving it. The next person's taking over your property and going to enjoy it, and they've got a great experience moving into it, and that puts that onto a positive side. And so it's just understanding that before. And then we do a walkthrough right before to make sure that everything was left and so forth before possession, right? So that makes it a little bit easier. But we've got this all put into a process that we've got 12, basically a 12-step process that gives them the understanding of this whole sales process so that they understand every single...
Like a checklist.
100%.
I love checklists. I'm always trying to tell the boys around here, just give me a checklist because I can't focus on anything and just let me check mark each thing off as I go.
Yeah.
It's very simple, very easy. I can even do that.
Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate a checklist. All right, is there anything else we need to get to here?
No, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, evaluations, when we go to do evaluations for clients, a lot of times that they might be looking to sell right away or looking to sell in the future. And so that's something, understanding the price point of your home and then what your, I guess, plan and your journey is going to be is probably one of the biggest things because that'll create less stress when you understand where you're going and what your property's worth, right? So those are the two things when we're looking at taking the stress out of the sale of your home. I think that's kind of what we focus on. So
that's fantastic. Well, hey, I really appreciate you always giving us some time here. Again, love the show. Huge fan over here. Where can people go to share their experiences and sort of check in and say, hey, what about this or that?
Yeah, it's awesome. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Message us. We'd love to hear from you and pick some topics that you'd love us to cover because we'd be happy to do that for you.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on. It's been a great experience.
Cheers, my friend.
I'm a little sweaty.
That's all good.
Can't wait to see you next week.
Okay.